Hello, everybody. I have a very, very creative entrepreneur with us today that I am very excited to introduce to you. Tim Yates, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to our program. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Roxanne. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much for coming and really, really excited to introduce you to our audience and have them learn about your business and what your services are. So you have the podium. So go ahead and tell us what you do.
Fantastic. Um, so about 10 years ago, I co-founded a firm with my wife, Carrie. We wanted to create a law firm that was affordable for people, for legal services. And through that process, I kind of fell in love with estate planning, and I was able to kind of learn under my wife's wing. She's our lead attorney in our firm. She's been practicing law for 20 years. And I really got to learn a lot, from my best friend and from my wife on how to help people avoid probate and to ensure that all the things that we work so hard for stay within our family, and the government doesn't get their hands on it. And so I just immersed myself into that world, and I haven't looked back. It's been a fantastic ride, and it's something that I'm very passionate about.
So tell us why people should do this.
So let me talk about some numbers first, which actually scared me when I first learned about it, and but I also saw it as a huge opportunity. So right now, about 12.7% of all homeowners in California have their homes in a trust. So that
What
means if
percentage?
you're 12.7%.
Wow.
That means if you're a real estate professional and you look at your database and you look at, let's say you have 1,000 people in your database, for example, that could be your SOI, your farm combined, whatever. That means 87.3% of those people do not have their homes in a trust.
Wow.
And that is a huge reason that I got involved in this business, because I saw firsthand what happens when people have to go through the probate process, and it's an absolute, it's a nightmare for everybody. And as you know, probably, the probate process is really what it is. It's the court supervised process of identifying and gathering the assets of a deceased person, and then paying out the debts, liabilities, taxes, and then kind of whatever's left over, it trickles out to the beneficiaries. And it can take months or even years and tens of thousands of dollars for people to have to go through that horrible process. But the good news, though, it's completely avoidable, and that's why I do what I do. My job is to help change those numbers so more people understand why they need to do this. And it's just it's all about the educational process. I think just a lot of people don't understand it. They
Mhm.
hear the term trust, they hear asset protection, they hear will. um, they just don't really know what all that entails. And then the second component is just the sticker shock. I think for most of the time, it's been so expensive for people to get an estate plan. They just hold off on doing it, and ultimately they never get it done, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep. I have come across firsthand to see that, and I also have come across where the person thinks that they have everything under control, and then I've figured out firsthand that you have to spell everything out, or then it doesn't count.
Exactly. And that's why the educational component comes, it's so important to understand that, you have to have things, done the right way. And, it's interesting too, over the last 15 to 20 years, this industry has really changed, where it wasn't that long ago, Roxanne, where people had one choice. They had to go to that law firm down the street and work with that really expensive attorney, and spend thousands of dollars, on getting an estate plan. And then you start to see the pendulum swinging the other way, where there's all these websites that are popping up that are like, oh, get your estate plan done, your will done for like $300. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where people need to understand, you don't excuse me, need to hire an attorney or a firm like ours to do your estate plan. You can actually do it yourself. there are some websites out there that you can do. The problem though that we see with that though is a lot of times people don't necessarily know what forms to order. They're not really sure how to fill them out properly. It's one of those things, we live in that do-it-yourself world. The problem though is that, you know, if I go to IKEA, for example, I can buy a desk and try to put it together myself. And if I don't do it right and it crumbles, then it's just my desk. But when you're talking about protecting your family, your loved ones, your assets, all that stuff, you want to make sure it's done right. You don't want to mess around and maybe check the wrong boxes, not fill out the right forms. But I am personally glad, though, there's that option now for consumers that they can actually do it that way. But, you know, to us, I think what our firm is, we kind of combine the best of both worlds. We combine the trained professionals that know how to fill out the forms, know how to work with people. Yet we still created a pricing structure, though, now that is affordable to most people, and that's one of the big reasons why you know, I'm on this show, because I just want people to be more informed about the opportunities and the options they have in the marketplace.
Okay, so let's look at your website and see if you can help us navigate through and learn a little bit more about how this works.
Yeah, so just starting with our team, I don't know if you can go to this says, you know, about us or whatever. If you want to click on that, that's kind of the management team right there. As you can see, I'm on the far left with no hair. My wife Carrie, again, who's our firm's lead attorney, she's in the middle, and then Lauren, who's another one of our amazing attorneys. She specializes in real estate and family law. And so we all kind of have our own niche, what we kind of specialize in. But the great part about this whole program, though, is that, you know, anytime if I work with the client, Roxanne, and let's say I do their estate plan, anytime down the road, if they ever needed legal advice or legal representation in another area of law, whether it has to do with real estate law, family law, HOA law, business law, they can call me directly and I'll get them in touch directly with one of our attorneys who gives them a free consultation. And also we offer the really big discounted rates for all of our clients, because we just believe in clients for life, and we want to make sure that people don't have to go shop around or spend all their time trying to find the right people to help them solve their problems. We want to be that solution for them. And that's why it's just really important that we take care of our clients in a way that they're just not used to being taken care of, unfortunately, in this industry.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad that we're here where it says contact us. So I see that they can send a form. I see that they can also give a call or set up a free consultation, which is good, which is actually great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the other thing too is, you know, so for me personally, I create a lot of estate plans for clients, and I also form a lot of LLCs for our clients as well. We work with a lot of, you know, entrepreneurs, a lot of business professionals that need to incorporate, form limited liability companies. So again, they can come to us for a myriad of reasons. And again, I don't think you can beat the pricing that we offer. On that note, too, Roxanne, which is interesting. So here's the thing about our firm: we don't market, we don't advertise. You're not going to find us doing posts. You're not going to find us buying or putting up postcards or advertisement or doing Yelp reviews. We've truly built this business on one client at a time referral. So even though there's our website, I'm going to be honest with you, very few people ever visit it or see it. We don't do SEO. We just want the information to be transparent for people to see it and learn about us. But the reality of it, though, is that when my phone rings, that person that's calling me got my number specifically from a former client or from a firm that we may have partnered with, whether it be a large lender, title companies, escrow companies, real estate professionals, especially. Those are the ones that have used our service before. They can attest to how well we work with our clients, how hard we work for them, and our pricing structure. And that's really, really important. And then lastly, you know, you, Roxanne, being an amazing real estate professional, it's that is really the lifeblood of our business, is the relationships we have with real estate professionals, because you
Mhm.
guys are on the front lines of home ownership. And when you think about how many times, you've maybe represented buyers and sellers, and then you start to look at your numbers, just go back in your database like anybody else and look and say, wow, pretty much 87% of people that are in that database that own homes don't have it in a trust.
Mhm.
And now we have a real solution for them. Now they can. There's no longer is the affordability factor going to play a role in this now, because I think people are going to realize, wow, I can get the same high level white glove service and pay thousands of dollars less than I would if I went somewhere else.
So 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 how does it work? They basically contact you, and let's say that they are trying to make it trust.
Uh huh.
So how does it work? What happens from there?
Yeah, so great question. So again, most of the time someone will call me, and I, like I said, I've had 4 calls today with potential clients. And the calls were just about, again, I'd let them know, hey, I'm just here to answer any questions you have. I want to give you information so you can make some informed decisions for you and your family. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't sell anything. I really want them to have the information, because to me that's the most important. So it's just mostly some questions. Do you own a home? Yes or no? Do you have any investment properties? Tell me a little bit about your family. What are some of your goals? It's a pretty short conversation, making sure that they just understand, the ins and outs of it. But what's going to happen is when someone calls me and asks about it, they've probably already done a little bit of research. Someone already told them, or they realize I need to get my home in order, so to speak.
Mhm.
I need to get a trust and a will in place. And so I just basically explained to them, basically what they're going to need is called a revocable living trust.
Mhm.
And that's really, Roxanne, what 99% of us need. Is called a revocable living trust. The other kind of trust is an irrevocable trust. And
Mhm.
and that's really, though, honestly, that's really designed for people that have extreme wealth, uber wealthy individuals, where anytime my phone rings, every once in a while I'll get someone call me and they'll say, Mr. Yates, I got referred to you by so and so. I'm interested in getting an irrevocable trust. And at that point, I like to break the ice a little bit with them, and I'll kind of make a joking comment and say, okay, fantastic. Do you mind me telling me how many private jets and yachts do you own? It's that kind of that really high level thing. But going back to revocable living trust, that is what they need. So what's going to happen is, once I explain everything to them, give them the information about our firm and our services. It's such a simple process. We've really worked hard over the years to streamline it and make it simple now, because our entire team, everybody works from home offices. We don't have any brick and mortar, which allows us, number one, to save a lot of costs. So we don't have to pass those costs on to our clients, having beautiful, fancy law offices and a high rise and things like that. So we can streamline that, number one. Number two, I mentioned we don't market or advertise, so we save on that. You know, but the process is as simple as this. As soon as someone raises their hand and says, Tim, I want to get this revocable trust on, all I do is email them our retainer with the invoice of the price that I quoted them. They can pay that online via credit card or debit card. Once the invoice is paid, our system generates a questionnaire that's sent out to them, and then they can fill out the questionnaire. And the questionnaire is basically what's going to encompass their documents, what their wishes are, who
Mhm.
they're going to name as their successor trustees, their executors, and beneficiaries, and so on. Once they fill that out, I receive it, and then our system, we kick in and we start working on it. We'll pull the grant deeds of any real estate holdings that they have in California. We'll prepare all their documents, and it usually takes anywhere from 7 to 10 business days to complete. So it's a really really fast, efficient process. So from the moment they say I want it, as fast as they pay the invoice and as fast as they fill out the questionnaire, we can have everything else done and in their hands within really a little over a week.
Wow. And then what about ongoing services? You buy a property, you form a trust, you put the property on the in the trust, then you decide to sell that property and turn it into something bigger. Or for example, you form an LLC. You need to I'm not sure if that's what you
Hmm.
need for an LLC, but if you have a corporation, you have to do your minutes every year. So there's ongoing maintenance of that entity that needs to happen.
Correct.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, great question. So it's called a revocable living trust. And what that means is you can revoke it, cancel it, and make changes to it. And we expect you to make changes to it as your life changes, life events. Working really closely with real estate professionals, we love the fact that a lot of times I will work with the client, I'll put their primary residence into the trust. And then a year later, they work with you and you get them into their another investment property, and they'll call me up and say, Tim, Roxanne, just got us into, we just closed escrow on our investment property, and then I will prepare the quitclaim deed and the P Corps for that and transfer that property as well into the trust. And we just educate our clients in a way we want them to know that the documents obviously need to grow and change as your life grows and changes. So we want to make sure that's reflective in that capacity. So a lot of times people sometimes just don't get that advice, or they don't understand that's important. So we want to make sure that those changes occur on a regular basis. And again, we make sure that it's not an expense that they can't afford. We want to make sure that it's too important to not get it done, and to try to save a couple dollars here and there to ensure that they're protecting everything. Because
Mhm.
I've seen it personally where a client personally put they worked with somebody else, but they had their primary residence into the trust, but then they bought some investment properties and they didn't transfer those into the trust,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and they passed away and those go into probate. So it's super important to understand that they need to constantly make changes to those things.
I've actually come across recently a client that didn't put their bank accounts into the trust, and that also became a problem. Are
Well,
you? Yeah, go ahead.
yes, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I was just gonna I was thinking about this too, scenario. So a couple of things. So we let everybody know, look, you can transfer any asset you have into the trust, your life insurance, your stocks, bonds, IRAs, um, market rate accounts, bank accounts, savings accounts, even RVs, boats, oil and gas and mineral rights. If you have that, those can be transferred into the trust. But so, for me, if you want to transfer an asset into a trust, the main thing is that after the fact too, all you have to do is contact that institution and let them know that you want to name your trust as the beneficiary now in that account. And so they'll
Mhm.
name so they'll give you some paperwork to fill out and sign and attach it. It doesn't have to all be done right at the beginning. It can occur over a process. And again, I always let people know, if you're looking at certain assets, talk to your tax professional first and find out if there's a tax benefit to transferring a certain asset into your trust. You know, and if, let's say, an asset is not transferred into the trust, you want to make sure that the beneficiaries are properly spelled out on those accounts, and make sure. So there's other components that come into play with that. But the main thing though is just making sure your house is in order, and and we educate the client to know that they can make those phone calls at any time and get that ball rolling. It doesn't all have to happen right at the beginning. Sometimes, like I said, if my accountant called me tomorrow and said, hey, Tim, I'm going to recommend that you and Carrie transfer your life insurance policies into the trust, which we haven't done, because it's going to save you or your children in taxes and da 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 da. Well, then I'm going to hang up and call my life insurance policy and just say, hey, I want to name the beneficiary. My trust is the beneficiary now, and not in the name of my children and my wife now. The beneficiary is going to be the trust, and so everything will flow in and through the trust. And also, when you transfer assets into a trust, it does make it a little bit simpler to administer that trust after the trustor or trustee have passed away,
Mhm.
and there's other benefits. But a lot of times, again, it really comes down to working with your tax professional, letting them know now you have a living trust, and how can you maximize your tax benefits with that package.
That is fantastic, valuable information. Well, thank you so much for this information. Let me see, is this how they would get in touch with you if they wanted to ask questions or set up a time?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very old school in the fact that, it's just call my number, call me, text me. I want to talk to you, and just get to know each other. And again, to me, it's about education. I just want people to have the information. They can make informed decisions. Whether they work with us or not, it's okay. I just want them to be taken care of. And I really want to see those numbers change one day. I'd love to think that maybe when my time is up here on Earth too, I can maybe change that number from 12.7% to a much higher number, to just save more families from the pain that's caused when they have to go into the probate process.
I cannot believe that those numbers are so low. It
Yeah,
is
it's
amazing.
you when you talk, the county recorders are great resources. There's 58 counties in the state of California. Each county has its own county recorder,
Mhm.
and the numbers again across the board, like I said, and that's one of the easy things to do. I say, look, all you have to do if you want to find out is when you get together with your family and your friends and your neighbors, just ask them, hey, is your home in a trust?
Yeah.
And the most of the people, are might be embarrassed and are not going to necessarily want to say no, it's not. But the majority of them will say no, I don't have my home in a trust. And it's just to me, like I said, it's something that we can help you with, and it's something that you just definitely need to do because I don't know. The last time I checked, Roxanne, the mortality rate is still 100%.
You're absolutely right. Another thing that I've come across, and this is, I should say, I'm guilty of this just as much as I'm sure a lot of other people. When you're refinancing the house, almost all the time, the lenders pull the property out of the trust in order to refinance it in the individual's name, and 99% of the time they fail to put it back into the trust unless you actually follow through with your attorney and making sure that the property goes back into the trust. At least I know
Yeah.
that has happened to me many of times.
Well, here's another thing too, which is really scary, is the fact that even after I prepare an estate plan for somebody, let's say I prepared yours, Roxanne, and I said, okay, look, I prepared 3 quitclaim deeds for 3 properties that we're going to transfer into things. You have 2 options now. I prepared everything. You got them notarized and signed and ready to go. You can mail them in or you can walk them in. And I always tell people, walk them into the county recorder's office and get them recorded in person, have them stamp it right there in front of you, grab the stamp thing, bring it back, put it back into your pile of documents, because I've seen also people that didn't take that next step. If I prepare an estate plan for you and you don't do what it's called the funding of the trust, okay? If you don't fund your trust by going down to the recorder's office and actually getting that deed that I prepared recorded in the name of your trust, it's not worth the paper that it's printed on.
Mm.
It's you could have that document and signed and notarized, but if you didn't actually get it recorded, then it means nothing. So that's one of the things too. I just always let my clients know you have to do this. It's so important because I've come across people over the years that said, "Oh, I got everything done, but I just realized that, my why isn't my property in the name of the trust? I got that done 4 years ago." And I said, "Well, did you fund the trust?" And they're like, "What does that mean?" I said, "Did you actually get it recorded? Did you go down and record it yourself?" No, I didn't. I mean, so again, it's just super important. You got to take that on yourself, and that's why I said too. When you mail things into a governmental agency, you never know. It could sit there in a pile of documents and be lost, etc. So don't take the chance. Take 30 minutes out of your day, walk in, you say, I'm here to record a quitclaim deed, and they'll put you in the right line and you just get it done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for explaining that, because that is super, super important. And most people don't understand it and fail to do it, which means that all the work that they put into it does not actually pay off because they didn't do it right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you so much, Tim, for joining us, for giving us this valuable information. We really, really appreciate that. And audience, I hope that you took away a lot from this and this valuable information that Tim provided. Again, if you are wanting to get in touch with Tim, there is his phone number. And also, you can get more information on their website. There is their website. So Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And if you are trying to get a hold of me, of course, I am selling San Diego. And there is my phone number, and you're welcome to give me a call anytime as an inspiration. Like Tim mentions, phone number is always best. Phone, text,
Yeah.
or you can go to my website, use my email address. I also like to be on Instagram or on Facebook if you want to befriend me. Tim, are you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook, yes.
All right. Okay. So you can find Tim on his Facebook account as well. So if you are watching this on YouTube, we appreciate it if you give us a 2 thumbs up. And if you have any comments, we appreciate it if you can put at the bottom of this this discussion. And remember to subscribe to our channel, and so that we can bring more of our discussions to more people. And we always appreciate that you stay at our corner, and you are our audience. And Tim, thank you very much for joining us and for giving this valuable information to our audience, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
It's been a pleasure, Roxanne. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.